Microservice is not step 1, it's step 10. Big companies like Netflix and Amazon use them to scale their application, and because of that, many developers think if I use microservices, my system will scale like theirs. That is the first mistake. Those companies didn't start with microservices, they earned them. They had the scale, the massive engineering teams, and the specific problems that required such complex architecture. You likely don't, at least not yet. Microservices are not a solution, they are a trade off. You are trading simplicity for flexibility. If you don't need that flexibility, you are just opting into unnecessary pain. As industry expert Martin Fowler defines it, microservice architectural pattern approaches a single application as a suite of small services, each running into own process and communicating with lightweight mechanism. While their advantages have made them fashionable, they come with the cost of increasing distribution, weakened consistency, and a requirement for high maturity in operational management. 5 reasons why microservice project fails. Reason 1, nanoservice, unclear service boundaries or oversplitting microservices. Most teams don't clearly understand what a microservice actually is. There is a lot of confusion around how to define a single service. For example, imagine your system had a plugin based architecture with multiple third-party integrations like integration with Stripe for payments, Razorpay for India, PayPal for international users, and Twilio for notification. Now the question is, should each integration be its own microservice? Many teams do that exactly. They create one microservice per integration, but very quickly this becomes hard to manage. You end up with too many small services and each one adds overhead because it runs as a separate process. A better approach is start with fewer, larger services instead of many tiny ones. You can model service based on business domain. This is where DDD, domain-driven design, helps. Break your system into subdomains and bounded context. Each bounded context can represent a business unit like finance or marketing. Yes, this creates slightly larger service, but that's okay because it's always easier to break a larger service into smaller ones than to combine too many small services. As your understanding improves, you can move towards fine-grained microservices. Use the single responsibility principle to decide when a service is doing too much. If it is, split it into smaller independent services. Also, one important rule: no service should directly access another service database. Services should only communicate through published contracts like APIs or events. And to reduce performance issue, try to limit service to service communication because too many network calls slow down your system. A simple guideline: if two pieces of data are tightly related, they should belong to the same service. In other words, service boundaries should follow data boundaries. Reason 2, organizational mismatch, Conway's law. Conway's law states that organizations design systems that mirror their communication structure. What does that mean? If your company is structured in rigid, functional silos, example a separate DBA team, a separate QA team, a separate ops team, microservices will likely fail. Here is the problem. Microservice requires DevOps culture, where a small cross-functional team owns a service from cradle to grave. If a developer had to open a ticket and wait 3 days for a firewall change or a database schema update, the speed of microservice is neutralized. And the result is you end up with a distributed monolith. All the complexity of microservice with none of the independent development benefits. Reason 3, building features on the broken foundation, ignoring the platform and test layer. If management focuses only on shipping features and ignores the platform, the system will eventually fail because features built on a weak platform don't deliver values. To build microservice properly, teams need a platform mindset, and this is more than just using containers or Kubernetes. It includes distributed tracing like Jaeger or Zipkin, observability like ELK or Splunk, chaos testing, secure service to service communication like MTLS, debuggability using Kibana or Grafana, understanding network versus functional calls. Another important issue is testing. Most teams know testing is important but still don't do enough of it. In microservices, testing becomes even more critical because now you need to test individual services or unit level testing, then service interaction, end-to-end testing. Testing complete user flow from start to end, like from login to order creation to payment. Reason 4 is data graveyard, distributed data integrity and the saga complexity. In a monolith, you have the luxury of acid transactions. If an order fails, the payment and the inventory updates roll back automatically. In microservice, that safety net is gone. Here is the problem. Many teams try to force distributed transactions across services, which leads to massive latency and deadlocks across the network. When they realize they can't do that, they shift to eventual consistency, but they underestimate the complexity of managing it. The dual write trap. If service A writes to its database and then fails to send a message to service B, your data is now out of sync. Fixing that requires complex patterns like the transactional outbox or saga pattern, compensating transactions. The result? The system becomes a data graveyard where records don't match up across services, and developers spend weekends writing reconciliation scripts to fix corrupted state. Reason 5, dependency coupling and lockstep deployment. The primary promise of microservice is independent deployment. If you can't deploy service A without deploying service B and C, you do not have microservices. You have a monolith with a network cable in the middle. The shared library nightmare. Teams often try to save time by creating massive shared jars or NPM packages containing common logic or data models. The moment one service needs a change in that library, every other service is forced to upgrade and redeploy. Then comes API versioning. The API versioning failure. Instead of maintaining backward compatibility using tools like consumer-driven contract, teams make breaking changes to APIs and expect everyone else to just update their code immediately. The result? You lose the ability to move fast. Deployments become big bang event that requires 20 people on a Zoom call at 2 am to ensure that all 15 services start up in the right order. The verdict? Don't copy the architecture. Understand the problem. Instead of one simple application, you now have 10 services, 10 deployments, and 10 failure points. When one service goes down, your entire system breaks. Not because your logic was wrong, but because your architecture is fragile. You now need retries and timeout, circuit breakers, service meshes. These are things you never had to worry about before. Most teams fail because they copy the architecture without understanding the problem. What should you do? Start simple. Build a modular monolith, keep it clean, focus on cleaner boundaries within a single code base. Wait for the pains. Only migrate to microservice when your system starts breaking under its own weight or your team grows too large for one repo. Remember, microservice is not step 1, it's step 10. That's all for today's video. See you again in the next one. If this video is helpful, give a thumbs up.